Welcome to Wild Wednesday webinar sponsored by Apothecary Products, a Michigan-based company and great friend of ours who make these webinars possible. I'm Paul Kiewit. I'm the Executive Director of MIPA, and in conjunction with PPAW, PPA Chicago, UMAP, TISPA, OPA, PPA Midwest, and of course MIPA, we're happy to present these monthly webinars of the thought leaders and the greatest ideas in the industry. This program is being recorded. It will be posted, the link to it will be posted on the MIPA Facebook page after the presentation today. It is worth one CAS credit if you will fill out the survey at the end of the presentation. That will automatically submit your PIN number to me. If for some reason you don't find that survey or you navigate away from it, you can just send it to paul@mipa.org. We do also on that survey ask for some recommendations. We have our webinars filled through April of next year, but we're always looking for great presentations and love your feedback on that. On the left-hand side of the screen, you'll find a chat box. If you have any questions or comments that you want to post during Dana's presentation, feel free to put them in, and I will harass him or interrupt as necessary to make sure your pertinent questions get answered. We're really delighted and honored to have Dana Zezzo with us today. Dana's the Senior Vice President of Jetline and known as one of the, if not the, social media guru of the promotional products industry. Dana has spoken at every major association from PPAI to the 27 regionals, probably to all 27. He's given over 60 presentations around the topics of Facebook and social media and being relevant in today's digital age. And the great thing about Dana is every presentation he gets a lot of feedback from the audience, and he's constantly tweaking and changing the content. And this is the newest iteration, which he's entitled Enable the Inbound, Turning Emails into Relationships. So I think that I'm out of words, Dana. I'm going to give it over to you.
That might be one of my best intros to date. Yeah, I like it. Well, hey, everybody. Thank you for having me, Paul. I'm honored. Definitely going down this interesting path of the social media. No, when I broke into the promo, 22 years ago, that's never where I thought I'd be. But, hey, I'm here now, and I'm enjoying it and learn more every day. So this third evolution of my conversation that I want to continue to have with not only my distributor partners, but this is conversation we have internally a lot too, is so this powers my group how to stay focused. So third generation, enabling the inbound, turning emails into relationships. Basically I want to go through this slide. This is the magic the one CAS slide. And the course is designed to help anyone from a beginner to intermediate social media person who's engaged in the platform to overcome the most challenging part of that, which is time. And again, Paul had kind of served it up that my topic is an evolution of all the countless hours of conversation and dialogue and exchange and posting and stuff that has come from the industry. So I don't really speak on social media a whole lot outside the industry. Occasionally I do, but most of my theories come from the conversation that's happening within the industry. So that's the best for this audience. So what I want you to do is when I get back all this pushback that I don't have time, if you know me, you know that I wouldn't accept that answer, but I want to help you try to stay focused, because I think you can get off on tangents, and then that's about the moment you realize an hour went by in the clock, and you're very frustrated because you found all you really found out maybe was that your friend Joe had a Philly cheesesteak for lunch, and then that's why you want to go with social media and say it's a waste of my time. So I want to try to help you stay focused. I want you to convert what I call a one-dimensional relationship, which is an email exchange with a customer, into a multi-dimensional long relationship, because once that connection is made on any of the social media platforms, those eyes are on each other, and eyes and ears pretty much until one of the two parties would either shut that relationship off or block it or whatever, which I don't see done very often. So you now, from a marketing perspective, have a set of eyes that have a value. And there are a lot of statistics to show what that value is. I think on a Facebook like these days, they got it at about, I think at one point it was 287 was the actual monetary value of a Facebook like. I don't know if I have that slide in here on this PowerPoint or not, but it floats around obviously as more and more get engaged in the platform. So I believe that strategically and comfortably, you can take the inbound platform, which is your emails, and turn that kind of into longer term relationships, which ultimately become income. That's the bottom line for this group, is how do I take social media and monetize it? What's my ROI? And a lot of people have drilled me over the last few years about the ROI of social media. It's still very challenging to figure out exactly. I can tell you the ROI for me has been pretty good. So I want to try to just continue to share that. And that's built on the platform that I think that people buy from people that they know, like, and trust. So what I want to try to help you do is take an inbound email that comes out it starts as a one-dimensional experience, and then turn that into a connection, which ultimately gets people to know, like, and trust you more, which will equate to orders. And that's the bottom line, I think. And I'm trying to narrow this big wide funnel down into something that's very manageable. I want you to take away that I know that the fears of it is time management. The two biggest fears are time and I don't know what to post. So I want to overcome that. I want you to stay focused on your relationship building with targeted clients and prospects, and you're converting those visitors into leads. So basically, those visitors, in my opinion, is the equivalent to the inbox. It's the people inquiring about information from you. And you're going to convert those then into solid, warm leads, more than they are just from the inbox. And you can see there's some other things, gain some strategic information about clients that result in future business. I know if you go back a couple generations and you would bring those people back to this beautiful planet we live on and say, hey, you survived in a world of sales 20 years ago. What did you need to know to be more successful? They needed to know more. They need to know what their customers' likes were. They needed to know what their customers' emotions were like. They wanted to know what their customers' favorite food was. They wanted to know what their customers' hobbies were and all that stuff. You could give that to the people 20 years ago, they would own the world in their opinion. You have that now. You have the ability to go research and find out more about customers so you can find commonalities and convert those commonalities to stronger relationships, which ultimately convert into orders. And basically just enjoy being human and celebrate life, because social media is not fun unless you're having fun and just, kind of being fun on it and being who you are. So that's the basis of this presentation. So let's kind of dive in there. So this slide kind of talks to the point that time looks a little different to everyone. Time to me is different than time to Roger, who's on the call. It's different to Sally, who's on the call. And I want to be sympathetic that I understand that time is different to everybody. I have different time pockets. I have plane delays and I have airport time. So not everybody has that. So there's a spot for me to just, instead of sitting there and eating, yogurt covered pretzels, respond in a group where someone's looking for a project idea. So that time to you, I don't know, maybe it's while you're watching, the dying versions of Two Men or whatever that show is, or instead of watching TV, or instead of doing something that's not being productive to your business, maybe that's the time that you convert. To me, it's downtime in airports or it's downtime in hotels. I probably, unfortunately, have a little more of that than most. So time looks a little different to everyone. If you recognize some clocks on there, you date yourself. Get it? All right. Paul, you're the only one I can hear laugh if anybody laughs.
Yeah.
These webinars are crazy because you can't hear anybody back. I'm absolutely convinced, after my career in this industry, that people buy from people know, like, and trust. And I truly believe that the social platform has totally opened this ability up, that if you are a salesperson at heart and you believe in becoming, as close to friends and acquaintances in between, above acquaintances with your clients or your prospects, the social media is an awesome power tool for you. And if you take it for that, you can start putting stuff up there that that drives this thing home. When you're going to comment or post or create content, does it answer these three questions? Okay. Does it help your customer get to know you better? Does it help your customer get to like you better? If that makes sense. But the customers liking you would be equivalent to, do you talk about your charities? Do you talk about the community involvement you do? That's getting people that like those same efforts more engaged with you. We all like people who have our similar likes. So, from my perspective, I run. If you guys follow me or connect with me on social, you'll see that I enable the Map My Run thing to post my runs. Am I bragging about running? No, that's painful for me, just like it is for everybody else. The message there is I know that there's a huge pool of my social media friends that also are runners, and I'm driving home that commonality. Getting to know me better is examples of my family, my hobbies, my other interests and things, and that I'm not doing any of that to brag. I'm not doing any of that for the wrong reasons. Everything that's posted has a target of these things. I want to enable my audience or network, which we'll talk about here in a minute, to know me better, potentially like me more, or even maybe like me if they don't, turn them around, and get them to trust me. Okay, so every post, whether you guys think it's random or not, does not get posted unless it feeds to one of these three questions. Okay, so there is some method to my madness. The answer to the question is yes, absolutely. Every post does this stuff to your audience. Now, the key then there is the audience. So if your network is not strong enough, then your audience is too small. So a lot of people that have high questions of the ROI in social media, they didn't do the foundation work first, which we'll talk about a little bit. These are some examples of just random posts that I had pulled up. And we'll kind of talk to them. I don't know how well you can see them, because some of the text is kind of small. But in the top left corner, I was quoted in Stitches magazine. So that's adding credibility. So that post was shared. Notice I took the time to put the little gold circle around my quote so I could, I subconsciously want to draw your eyes when you see that post or that tweet or whatever, which something like this was probably posted on all platforms because it's purely just a credibility thing. Some people could interpret it as bragging. It's not. It's to show credibility that if you can get quoted in a trade art magazine or a periodical, your opinion must have a little value. So and again, I took that extra step to highlight my quote. The quote there with the guy over my shoulder is that, we broke into the Safeguard Preferred program this year. So I posted that because I did some talk on social media to the Safeguard crew, and I knew they were connecting with me. This is the vendor relations person. So if you look at this picture, the subliminal reason is, why would you trust this guy? Why would you trust this guy from Jetline? Well, here's the guy that they trust the most, their vendor relations person, with his arm around me and he's smiling. So the subliminal message behind that is, one, kind of thanking Forrest publicly, posting the picture, which is always the takeaway, and two, trying to build trust with Forrest's following, which is all the distributor salespeople for Safeguard. The one on the top right, again, there's the Map My Run. I'm trying to find commonalities in my network to build my relationship between more than what's the price of 100 stress balls. I want to go out and I want to run with a customer. I don't want to drag the suitcase into the call and put all the stuff out on the desk and, unfortunately, I'm sorry, supplier friends, but just do what all the other suppliers do. I want to engage in an activity with a client in a private way that makes them remember me more than my competition. So that's the fundamental philosophy behind why I would post a Map My Run or a Map My Hike or a Map My Ride. Okay, the one and the big one in the center. Again, when I did the PowerPoint, I was recently at the Safeguard event. So there's the Safeguard. We did a big presentation. Look at the product mixed in there, the sunglasses, the flyers, the water bottles. So and this was the best part of this was the Safeguard person from Tucson posted this, and he said calls out the thanks to me to helping we did like these mock presentations. We had a mock scenario of a big like ad marketing pitch that we had to do. So we brought in all the product to support the pitch, and so I shared that. So that was showing my credibility in front of a good distributor. There's me on a hike, holding up the water bottle, and I'm hashtagging Jetline. I'm using the hashtag swag. We had a hashtag Papa Hike. I tagged the Philadelphia Promotional Products Association. So I'm driving that audience home. I'm in the Jetline sunglasses, and I got the product. Again, I'm not shoving a special down your throat. I'm not shoving a closeout down your throat. I'm showing you that I use the product, and you can't. It'd be like buying a Corvette from a guy who drives a Porsche. It just doesn't make sense. You gotta live and breathe what you do in order to get people to trust it so they can use it and sell it. And that's what a lot of my product, I call these the ultimate field test. And I field test the product all the time. So that's an example of that. So those are some real life examples of content that is always driving home my 3 core philosophies, and that is getting people to know, like, and trust me better or more than they did maybe before the post. So where does that all start? There's a question there, Paul. Do you want to jump in, or are you going to?
Sure. Margaret asked about connecting with people. She said, if I employ people who do direct patient care, should there be a policy that prohibits them from Facebook friending patients? She's asking because she sees colleagues that do connect with patients and don't feel their posts are necessarily patient friendly. I think you're probably getting into some areas of HIPAA laws and confidentiality, Margaret. I'm not sure if Dana would have any experience in the promotional products industry with that question, but Dana?
Correct. Yeah, I think you're right. I mean, I'm in the world of sales, so I'm going to only talk to the sales. So, Margaret, I apologize. I definitely understand your question without a doubt. But I am in the world of sales, which is networking. So we encourage all of our reps and inside salespeople to connect with their customers, again, because we believe that relationships sell. So I'm going to stick with that. Is that okay now for Paul?
Yeah, I believe okay. So. Yeah, I think it's more of a healthcare related question that is a little bit outside of our area of expertise.
Okay. So I'm going to keep rolling here. So I want to be sympathetic to time, and time meaning not the time of this call, but the time that you have to spend on social media, because that is always the biggest pushback. I don't have time. And obviously you guys know me, I don't accept that, because if you want to be successful in the world of sales, you have to go beyond the normal. And social media is an amazing thing. So now, being sympathetic to time though, and trying to keep you on course. If I was to sit down and consult you one-on-one, this is where I would teach you to start. And I would teach you to start in your inbox. Because I think that's the biggest pull away, is when people say, okay, well, if I have a social media strategy, then I'm not going to get my work done. And I'm pretty sure, unless you're a construction worker, your only work is your inbox. Okay. Now, some of you field reps may be out running around making calls. I get that. But most people, I think, in the promotional products industry live in their inbox on a day-to-day basis. And I'm sure, unfortunately, most of you are babysitting supplier orders. But that's a joke. But anyway, so you're in your inbox, you're engaging with your customers, and you're following up on your orders and all this stuff. So I want to start by saying, if you focus there, you'll not only satisfy your inner need to do your job every day, but then we can convert that further out than what I call a one-dimensional relationship. A statistic that caught my eye was and I want to, again, every once in a while, I like to wake people up. because everyone says, social media it's not that important. My email is more important. Well, this is an interesting statistic that 37 minutes a day is the average time an American spends in social media. And just so you know, that's more than their email. So you guys all want to use the crutch as the email being where everybody's at. I would challenge that theory and say, I don't know about that. I think your customers are on social, and do you have the nerve and the aggressiveness and the tenacity to go there and be there with them? And I would say I have, and I would include Paul in that. He has made that choice to go where his potential customers are, to engage with them outside of the email platform. So they are there. If you don't think they are, you're wrong. They're there. So this is an interesting statistic. So I would say go there and be there with them. So again, I talked about staying focused. So if I had to consult somebody one-on-one, where the heck do we start? We got to stay focused. The time management discipline is that what you want to do is you want to find, connect, and share with people that want to do business with you. So this is where I find. So again, this is where I came to the conclusion that I thought the inbox was the most comfortable place for you to convert. Because if you got an email from a customer, wouldn't you feel pretty comfortable going to, let's say, like LinkedIn and connecting with them and saying, hey, thanks for the email. I'm working on your project, hoping to connect. That's where it all starts. You don't have to take the relationship away from the email and move it all over to something else. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that that's your shot to build that network so that as you move on and you get yourself more comfortable, which I hopefully will have time to show you a couple examples of, then you'll have the audience that when you do share content, it will be the most powerful. So always be building your network. I made the commitment when I first got into it that I would not close my eyes ever. I don't care how late it was, how much I traveled that day, how many. I would not close my eyes until I made 5 connections a day. That commitment paid off for me in a way that I can't describe. To some extent, it's why I'm one of the executives at Jetline. So with dedication, it pays off, and I'll show you some examples of that here later in the PowerPoint. So when I say, okay, we're going to stay focused in our inbox, we're going to find and connect and share with these people that want to do business with you, and we're going to be building that network. What's the network? Let's define that a little bit. So no matter if you're new to social media or you're like myself, I consider myself an advocate. I don't even like to be called a guru because gurus think they know it all. I don't know it all. I just am an advocate. It means I go there every day with a mission to try to gain another customer and the benefit is a lot of lifetime friends, which is even better. So I'm always building that network. And you can kind of, if you saw my connections, you could probably say, oh, you don't even need to do that anymore. But I don't. I still do it every day. So your network is critical because it's the potential marketing eyes that you'll have when you are ready to get your feet around or hands around some content, okay, which you're going to get because suppliers now are getting very good at putting together great content that could easily be shared from your eyes and branded from you. So the quality of your content, the second bullet point here is the quality of your content doesn't matter without a network. So I want to poke a little fun here. There's a lot of people that jumped out into social media and said, oh, you'll become a superstar if your content's great. Kind of. I kind of agree with that. My content wasn't that great. I just started building my network. So I took the opposite approach. I said, well, I'm going to build my network, and then I'm going to deliver the content that I think the network wants. And it worked out really well for me. So don't get too hung up. I think this is why This scared a lot of people off from social media a few years ago because people were saying on and on and on, if you don't have great content, don't embarrass yourself. And it really made people be very hesitant to get on and kind of be more of a viewer. And you have all the right to be what I call a social voyeur and have just as much takeaway as someone who's fully engaged in posting content. If you're involved in some of the industry pages, like promotional products professionals has a page, and people are always inquiring about projects. I have a technology project, the $15 sell, 1,000 pieces, need something different. I see all these suppliers and distributors giving that person ideas. You could never answer that and learn a ton, so that when that scenario comes up for you, you'll have ideas, a whole list of ideas. And last time I checked, you guys don't really get paid for sourcing products. So I would think that you would want to narrow that process down as quick as possible. So I think don't get too hung up on all this. Your content has to be great stuff, because you will just be you're just not going to go anywhere. Build your network and connect with people based on, hey, working on your project. Hey, thanks for the inquiry about the quote. I'm working on it, hoping to connect. All these different little other reasons to connect with people, instead of you coming up with the world's greatest blog, which, by the way, I've yet to read. So don't worry about that. Just move forward and build that network. I did it by committing to 5 connections a day. That network size is critically important to your success. No comment from the audience, and you're all muted, so you can't say any short jokes. So, all right. The size of your network is absolutely critical to the influence when you do choose to share content. Okay. So this is the power of the algorithm. So as the platforms all individually have their algorithm to judge your influence, it's all, a big part of that is the size of your network. So if you don't commit to building that first, that's why it doesn't look, when you say, I posted this and I didn't have any views, or I didn't have any comments, probably because your network is not strong enough. Okay. So that is just, again, I can't reiterate that enough. If you want to manipulate that algorithm or turn it to your favor, build your network every day. Be committed to that. Now, the bonus of building your network is accessibility. People are moving around in their positions today. They're changing their emails. They drop their phones in the pool, and they don't know that their phone number can stay with them. You have a million reasons why you lose connectiveness, if that's a word, with your customers. And when you're connected with them on one of the social platforms and you've lost their business card, if you still have a Rolodex on your desk, and if you do, I want to have a private conversation with you. But if you've lost that card, or you don't have their number, you can quickly jump to a Twitter and tweet them. Even if it's in a private message, you can send them a note on LinkedIn and ask them a question. You can send them a Facebook message. You can post on their page. But it makes the connection basically a click away from accessibility to either a current or potential client. So the bonus of all this is you don't need anyone's phone number. You don't need the right email. And you don't know how many times your emails are getting caught in junk folders. I can't tell you how many times I get emailed at Jetline. Every once in a while, I remember to check my junk folder, and there's all customer inquiries. I'm like, oh my gosh, and I don't know why it ends up. I don't know why it's there, but now it's too late. Anybody that would Facebook message me and ask me for a quote would get a response probably faster than an email, because there's just so much clutter in my inbox. So again, the bonus is accessibility. If you want to manipulate the algorithm to have more influence inside your network, always be building the size of your network. Okay, so how does that all pay off for me? Well, this paid off when this blog came out. I can tell you that. Our friend Dale Denham, who's someone I highly respect, who's with Geiger, writes a lot on technology and about the industry, and he's actually very social. I know when I first got into it, him, Dale and Mark Graham and myself it seemed like everywhere at all these industry things. That's back when even Charlie from Snug was talking about it in the early days there. And I sat in on a lot of Dale's presentations, so he's been just as influential. But the influence one day hit me the most powerful when I realized all my hard work paid off, is that when Dale wrote this blog about the most influential people online in the promotion products industry, and I came out on number one. So that's when I realized the day that I made the commitment to build, 5 connections every day, it paid off, because he actually used a mathematical formula to figure it out. You can see my score at that given time was a 65. So that means now the value to my self-value to that is that the bonus is when I share Jetline content, it gets a lot of view. It gets seen. So, and I'll show you an example of that when I jump into showing you my inbox. So, we'll really show you how this paid off down the road. So hard work and commitment pays off. These are all the platforms you got. You can get overwhelmed. It's funny because when I first broke out and I was only talking about Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn, Google Plus was just trying, wasn't even really off the ground yet. Pinterest didn't exist. Instagram really didn't exist. Vine didn't really exist. And people still struggle with using Flickr and SlideShare. So the bottom 2 left ones are a couple of the most powerful platforms you could ever use being a salesperson. The one on the left is SlideShare, and that's like the YouTube world of PowerPoints. And the other one with the 2 dots is Flickr, and that's a photo gallery. That's where you would have an event or go to a trade show and take a bunch of pictures and then create a gallery and then post that and share it with your customers instead of just these what I call one-offs. I see some distributors, a one-off post is you're walking through a trade show, you see a cool new item, you take a picture of it and you post it. That's a one-off. That is part of your marketing strategy. The other part of your marketing strategy is what content are you putting out there that has more of a macro approach? A macro approach to a trade show would be to take 24 pictures, go back home, upload them to Flickr, put descriptions on those pictures, talk about the product, and then save that as a photo gallery, and then share that gallery and say the best 24 items I saw at recent industry trade show. So it's more of a macro approach to marketing on a social rather than a micro, which is what I call a one-off. So that's how you use those 2 PowerPoints, which are super, super powerful. Then obviously a lot of you have been exposed to the Common SKU platform, and then Vine. And Vine, looks like the teenagers might ruin Vine, but I don't know. Vine's got a lot of potential. Then the other one that's not even on there that probably could revolutionize the way we communicate with our customers is Snapchat. So you got a lot of different things. You don't have to do them all. Find a couple that you really like. I know I'm really impressed with, there's a large screen printer in Cleveland, Ohio called Jack Prints. Their Flickr strategy is like awesome. It just shows how relative, how cool they are and trendy, and they use cool filters, and they're doing it from shows and prints that they're doing in their shop. And so you just gotta, you gotta look at what other people are doing. You do have to kick in your social voyeurism and follow other people. And when you see something that's super cool, don't totally copy it, but it's okay to bring in a flair. I mean, it has 0 crossover with Jetline, so it's not that big a deal. And I think they make themselves look very relative, and it's very evident that they're attracting a young genre to their clientele because of their strategy. So a lot of platforms, pick a few. You don't have to master them all. Okay, so let me give you a couple examples. We're going to actually switch over to my desktop here. Okay, and let me minimize a couple things. This is where it gets interesting. So here's my actual inbox, and I'm just going to kind of go down through. So if you've seen any confidential information, look the other way. But this is my live inbox. So I'm looking at some quotes here, and I'm looking at...
Dana, I'm not seeing it come up.
Okay, hold on. Maybe I know what it is. Hold on.
Okay.
On my end, it shows I'm sharing. I'll pause sharing and resume sharing. Any luck, Paul?
Nope, you're still not there. They're looking at my balloons.
Looking at your balloons. Okay, so let me see if I minimize that. Anything yet?
Balloons over Cappadocia.
Oh, darn it.
It only works in rehearsal.
Yeah, it did work in rehearsal. So, okay, so let me think how. All right, so if you can't see my screen, it means you can't. Okay, so let me think here. Let me jump back to the PowerPoint. Okay, Paul, help me bring the meeting back up.
I can do it from my end.
It's interesting. I minimized it. Now it won't pop back up. There we go. Okay. All right. Let's keep rolling here.
Okay.
I thought I want to throw that off. So what I was going to do, and I'll talk my way through it, is I look at my inbox. So you probably get copies on, quotes. So I go and I look at the quote and I look at the individual. So then when I see the individual, I copy it and I'll go to LinkedIn. And I'm like everybody else. I understand that LinkedIn is a little bit better of a business relationship at first, and then the other ones can come later. So I jump over to LinkedIn, I look at the person. If I find them and I'm not a connection, I send a connection. I always use the personal message and I'll say, hey, thank you for the large quote today. If there's anything else I can help you do, or, help you win this business or whatever, please let me know, hoping to connect. So I use the quote follow-up as the reason to connect, because later on when I go and I share the content, then they're a set of eyes. That makes sense. So every single email someone comes in, they say, hey, Dana, I met you at a recent show. I need a sample of this. I convert that to one of the social networks connections, nonstop every day. And if I don't do it, I'm pushing all the time. I'm pushing for my reps to do it. So if you know that in like LinkedIn, for example, when you hit the drop-down menu, one of the options is share profile. So what I do is I share that profile with the outside rep responsible for that account and the inside person, and I'll say, we just recently quoted. So not only am I making the connection personally, but then since I took the time to do it anyway, I drive the relationship to the outside salesperson and the inside salesperson. Now what I'm fundamentally going to do there is trick the system a little bit. What happens is there's an algorithm, there's a mathematical value. So if that individual is connected with more than one person at Jetline, they're more apt to see Jetline content. Because LinkedIn looks at that person and says, interesting, this person is connected to 5 people at Jetline. And let's say it's the owner, Eric, Joe Hoffman, myself, the national account person, the outside rep, the inside person. The way that the social media interprets that is you must want to see that information, because otherwise you'd only be connected to one of them or none of them. So when we do that, we're actually tricking the system so that when Jetline does post content, you're very apt to see it. So again, if you say people are not seeing your content, you're probably not doing the little tricks to trick the system, which is basically build a network so the network numbers have value, so that the perception is that your audience wants to see that. This is exactly why you as an individual would be connected with more people at your end user than just the one person you deal with. Because when you do post content, it's more apt to come up in their news feed. Okay? We got another question there. Paul, you want to jump in?
Yeah. She asks, how do you feel about monitoring? I heard a story where a company sold a product at a show and had a firestorm of negative comments.
Well, I feel monitored. If you're lucky enough that the person who's posting information is tagging the company, then you're getting notified of that, and you can jump in and defend yourself publicly. So monitoring is absolutely critical. I know I was on the phone this morning with Tim from Landco, and he had one pop up, and they had an unhappy customer with a way the order was divided up. I don't even really know. I don't want to discredit the distributor's complaint, but it was very easily fixable. It was kind of just all they needed was some communication. But the distributor did choose to post um, the comment that they were frustrated away the billing was done, which I think probably all suppliers do. And another distributor tagged Tim Hill from Landco and said, Tim, you might want to jump in. So Tim's friends, also knowing he's on social, was to his benefit here. Then he got the prompt that there was something going on with his name. So he checked it out. Well, he instantly jumped on and fixed the customer's problem. And then the customer, and he did it publicly, right through the comment stream. And then the customer was awesome. They went back and said, Tim Hill went above and beyond to fix, what was a problem. It won't be a problem again. Thank you. And I will continue to use Landco. So there's an example of monitoring your brand and being able to jump in. In past time, that customer would have walked around every trade show for the next year, trash talking Landco, and not because she maybe never got the chance to communicate or didn't know who to communicate to. And I get that. Like distributors, and suppliers are always changing positions, and who's my contact, and it's hard to, I get it's hard to get through the clutter at a supplier. So 2 years ago, that Tim would have been doing that damage control 2 years after that customer would have trash talked the company for Lord knows how many shows. He was able to fix that immediately, and she's going to continue doing business, and it's going to have the wave or the wake will have no consequences. It's solved. He actually earned credibility for stepping up and solving it. So monitoring is absolutely critical. And if you're the admin on any of your brand pages and your brand is tagged, you get that notification. So if you have all your alerts turned off, you're killing yourself. I know it's overwhelming on all these. Every time someone tags you or hashtag something you follow, you get all these notifications. It might drive you nuts, but it also might be the best thing that ever happened to your brand, because you have the quick ability to check it and make sure that exchange stays positive. And if it doesn't, turn that tide very, very quickly. Is that a good answer to that, Paul?
I think so. I use an example in one of my presentations from TripAdvisor, where someone gave a hilarious negative review of a hotel. That was posted in February of 2010, and to this day I can still use that example, bring it up live, and the hotel had never responded to it. And that's like the 35th most visited website. Incredible that no monitoring going on.
Yeah, monitoring, and it really actually helps build your network too. Because if people are tagging you, they might want to do business with you, and it's an opportunity to make a connection that lasts forever. So there's a lot of positive from monitoring. Okay, so Paul, I've lost control. So if you want to jump the next slide or figure out how to throw it back at me.
I'm not seeing your slides on mine. I've been doing a live chat with AnyMeeting's help thing.
Okay.
If you want to continue, it looks like I need a restart on mine.
Hang on, let me try to force this again. Let me try to force it and see. Please select file. Okay, so it won't let me open it again because Can you close the slide real quick? Can you stop the actual PowerPoint?
I will give it a try.
Technology. You gotta love it.
Okay. Talk amongst yourselves. I'm going to have to do a restart on mine.
You think that'll kick us all off?
I think so.
Sorry, everybody. I'm sure you're multitasking anyway.
Yeah. Exit the application.
So what do you see right now, Paul?
I'm back, but the slideshow's still not up on mine.
I wonder if it did it when I switched to share my screen.
I believe it did.
That paused it. There you go. There you go.
All right. Okay.
Okay, so we're back. We're back. We're back.
All right. Number 12.
So the one thing I would have done in this exercise, I would have actually gone to my inbox and I would have showed you all these examples of how I just take inbound inquiries and turn them into relationships. The one other great example I was going to give you was the power of not only my network, but the Jetline network. As I've been teaching the past almost 3 years now, the crew at Jetline, we're launching some product, they're early arrivals, and we post that PowerPoint to SlideShare. I talked to you when I showed you that picture over here. I showed you that SlideShare button. So every time we have a PowerPoint with a product launch or some, mostly product launches is how we use it. We create a SlideShare presentation, PowerPoint presentation, and we upload it to SlideShare, which gives it a URL. We take that URL, we tweet it, we Facebook it, we share it with our internal staff, and then we teach all the reps how to share that too. To give you an example of the power of that, we posted a PowerPoint just recently. You can go on my feed and see it. If I could share my screen, I'd show it to you, but I'm afraid to leave the screen right now. I told the reps to share it. I don't really know how many did. I shared it through LinkedIn and Facebook and tweeted it, and in 24 hours had 697 views. So to my point that if your content will come later, you're going to get a PowerPoint down the road, whether you create it yourself or whether you create get it from a supplier or whatever. You're going to end up having content. And if you want ROI like Jetline has ROI, it's because we have a network. Not only my own network, the reps network, but the brand's network. And that to get 697 views on a SlideShare of new product makes the owner pretty happy, because there used to be a window that we didn't sell new products for like 18 months. When you start getting product information to a customer that fast, you get traction, you get orders, you get quotes, you get sample requests, you get virtuals. And the last time I checked, every one of those has a very high ROI to orders. At Jetline, if we do a spec sample, we have almost an 80% conversion to order ratio. So I don't know what your distributor's ratio is, but if you're not using spec samples, you should be. But again, you can't get that spec sample if the customers don't even know the product exists. So again, it's this building block of information that ultimately ends in an order. It's never one straight to the order. I mean, there's a few cases of that, but very rare. It's a building block of sharing information that ultimately gets the customer closer to placing an order. So that would be the example I get. So let's kind of recap, because we're coming into the last 10 minutes and we want to answer some questions. Let's kind of bring this all back together. So enabling the inbound, what's that mean? So we're going to go to our inbox and we're going to search it on a daily basis. Okay, we're going to search the actual inbox. We're going to find anybody who wants to do business with us and find out, can we convert them into a social media relationship? So we jump over. If I would have shown you on my screen, I have all my social media platforms open all day, every day. And I jump between my emails and my social platforms all day long, building my network. So then I take the inbound people I want to convert. I search on social media to see if I can find them, whichever platform I want to look for. And I might sometimes be looking for not only the individual, but the company. If you look now, a lot of people add the social media icons to the bottom of their signature. If you're not clicking on all those and following them or connecting them, you're crazy, because they'll most likely follow you back, and then you have that set of eyes. So once you search your inbox, you find who you want to connect with, you search social media and you find them, you have to do one of two things. You have to evaluate that relationship. One, is it new? If it's a brand new relationship, you need to do the connection. So if I search LinkedIn, for example, because all of you love LinkedIn so much, I search LinkedIn, and if you just gave me a large quote and I'm not connected, I use the large quote to get the connection. So I say to the follow-up, hey, thanks for the large quote. If there's anything else you need, let me know, hoping to connect. So most of the time, those connections convert. Okay. If the second thing is, if it's new, is it's drive the relationship deeper. Share that profile with other people that work at your company so that you can manipulate or overpower the algorithm by having more people at your organization connected to that person, so that when your organization or you post information or content, the platform will think your audience wants to see that because of the connection ratio. If it's an existing relationship, so I go to LinkedIn, I find out that I'm already connected with that person I just did the quote. First, I send a message. I don't send an email. I send a LinkedIn message and say, thanks for a large quote, or anything else you need, let me know. Same kind of thing, but I'm not asking for the request. I'm just using it as my follow-up, because I don't want to be in their cluttered inbox, okay? Because I'm kind of convinced that people are reading less and less emails, whether we always want to admit it or not. Just look at your own inbox. I have 55,000 emails in my inbox right now. I can't even find stuff anymore. It's not because I'm not organized. If they're existing, I want to maybe connect on a different platform. So I see that I'm already connected on LinkedIn, so then I'll jump over to maybe Facebook or Twitter or Pinterest or Instagram, and I'll search for them, and I'll just, since I'm there anyway, I'm going to get that relationship connected on a different platform, okay? And then second thing is if they're existing, is I want to share the content or just give out a thank you, which I kind of gave an explanation to. The other thing I'll do when someone gives us a large quote, if I'm already connected, I'll go back and take that URL from that new products and say, go back to LinkedIn and say, hey, thanks for the large quote. Hey, I want to make sure you saw the new product also. And I'll send them the URL. And I actually share it within the platform off the Jetline page, but that's a whole nother class. But you always can use a URL to share information through other platforms. So again, if it's new, I make the connection and I try to drive that relationship further in my organization. If it's an existing, I just use it as the thank you and I share more content with them, or I connect on another platform. I am building my network every day on a nonstop way, and that's how that's how you get 697 views in 24 hours. And I would have to say, I don't think that's very common in the industry.
I have a couple of questions I want to interrupt you with. The first one's about having a business account versus a personal. Ask if already have an account on one of the platforms, is it good to start a just business account?
Okay. If you know me, you know I hate this question. First of all, it's funny, and I'm just going to poke a little fun, Renee. Don't get mad at me. But every day, when I signed up for Facebook 3 years ago, every day I went to my mailbox, because I was under the interpretation that once I signed up for Facebook, that they were going to send me the manual on how to use it, and it never came. So then I thought, well, how do I know how to use it right? And then I wasn't like most people and let mainstream media manipulate my mind and give me all these false things that every time I posted that I was not at home, my house was going to get broke into. Once I didn't accept that propaganda and was a true salesperson in its utmost profession and integrity, I realized I had the ability to connect with people on a personal level. If you are not blending your clients into your personal life in the modern day, you're going to get eliminated. And if you don't agree with that, you can argue me till you're blue in the face. But the days of those lines are over. People do business with people they know, like, and trust more than ever, because there is such a distrust in corporate America, because corporate America has continued to screw the consumer decade after decade after decade, and it gets worse and worse. Half of the age group between the age of 45 and 65 don't have retirement plans or pensions because corporate America played with their pensions and lost it. So the general default to the consumer today is distrust. You just don't get the next, you don't get the next Red Bull to come out and go, oh, I'm going to drink that shit by the gallons. Like, your first thing is, that's poison. So as consumers, we are on high alert. To overcome that, you need your customers to know, like, and trust you, which means you've got to get personal. You've got to take it to a personal level. Now, not to misinterpret Renee's question, do I think that everybody should have their brand, which would be the name of your distributorship, us, it's Jetline, should they have pages or profiles for those also? Absolutely, for SEO value, so that people hear Jetline, but they don't know anybody at Jetline, so they Google Jetline. What comes up? Try it if you're bored. Facebook comes up and our LinkedIn comes up. So you have instant access to our company, and it's not always the website, because maybe the website, I would be, unfortunately, I'm brutally honest. I don't think anybody in this website, if your website does not represent your best foot forward, we all can't keep up with the website technology. Very few distributors can, and very few suppliers can, because of there's so much product data on the supplier side. And then I just don't think distributors are web developers, unless you're going to spend a bunch of money to have someone do it for you every year. You don't keep up. So if you're going to let your kind of haphazard website represent you as your best foot forward, I think you're making a big mistake as a distributor. I think if someone sees your Facebook page and they get on there and they run through the thing real quick, and they see people from your company, they see you at your local charity, they see you with product, it gives a much better first impression than an outdated website that looks probably like 20 other distributors' websites, because everybody's using, either the ASI one, which is Logo Mall, or Sages, or all these cookie cutter websites. If you don't think that the end users are seeing that all those look the same, I feel bad for you, because they do look the same. So again, don't let the website be your best foot forward. If there's a web person on here, they're not liking what I'm saying, but I'm just really, I go to all your websites, and they all look the same. So I would assume the end users do the same. Okay.
I wish you'd tell us how you really felt about that. The other question is, what about Hootsuite and those sorts of products that can push postings out? Do you use Hootsuite or similar?
We do not. We do everything organically at Jetline, and that's a fundamental decision, so that it has the most organic, real feel. I believe that an organic, spontaneous social strategy is the most trusted. Now, that doesn't mean I don't agree with it. Like, if there was, Hootsuite, for those of you on the call that don't really know what it is, it's kind of like a management tool to say, okay, here's some content, and post it tweet it on Tuesday at 2:00, post it on Facebook at Monday at 3:00, and it kind of manages your strategy for you. I'm not against it. I think it's just kind of predictable, and I love I'm connected with a lot of people on all the platforms, and it cracks me up when somebody posts and they time them all the exact same. So they write a blog or something, and they go use a Hootsuite, and they time it so it hits Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook, and a couple more all at the same time. I see them all, and I'm like, okay, that's obviously they're using a social management tool. So don't do that. Be spontaneous, be sporadic, and why would you try to hit me at the same time? If you're trying to hit your audience, hit them on different platforms. If you're connected with them on different levels, hit them at different times, because I might be really busy when I do look at Twitter, and so I brush right by it, whereas I hit Facebook maybe later in the day, and I'm a little calmer, and then I catch it over there, because you spaced it out a little bit. But now that even Facebook's changing what you see in your news feed, by manipulating it, by relevancy. They're kind of screwing that all up now anyway. So just try not to be predictable. That would be, if you're going to use a Hootsuite or a TweetDeck is the other big one. Just don't. I think the minute that your audience can predict your post, you've lost. You have to be unpredictable. Is that a good answer to that, Paul?
I think it's a great answer. I've used it before when I didn't want people to know I was on vacation, but then
yeah. And if you're on vacation or gonna be you're in meetings and you're away from it, but you want to keep a tweet strategy and you have some things to tweet about, yeah, I get that. Program something every day, to post, whether it's product information or a picture of you at a customer. I mean, now with iPhones and Droids, you've got these libraries of, I think I have over 4,000 photos on 4,000 photos on my iPhone. I don't think it would be that hard to find 5 or 6 older photos if I knew I was going to be away from Twitter for a week. So I get it, but I don't do it. I do everything organically, and I'm kind of on a mission to say that that's a good. I believe that that's a good way to do it.
Yeah. We also have a question from Roger, or asking for a comment. Among distributors out there, who do you think's doing it right? Who's got the social game down?
I mean, I think a lot of people are, especially more now than ever, are kind of figuring it out. The one thing that is probably, if there's a lot of very traditional distributors on the call versus an online distributor, the thing I would say is you traditional distributors better kind of get it in gear, because the online folks are pretty aggressive on it. The 4imprints, the e-promos, the branders, the motivators, they're all over it. So I don't think you really, a traditional distributor, I wouldn't think you want them to own that space. Motivators really does a great job, but they're as much a traditional distributor. I mean, the owner's very active and he's been an innovator in technology in our industry for years. So his name is Ken. I would never expect anything different than him to jump on a platform that, one, has a very affordable cost, and two, where his brushstroke can be very wide. So they do a great job. I mean, obviously, Mark Graham with the Right Sleeve does an amazing job. Brand Fuel does a great job. I don't see the consistency. I really don't see. I see hit and miss. I see surges, almost like a wave. I see it. I'll see some good activity for a while, and then it drops off a while. And I know a social strategy is very hard to discipline yourself and commit to it. It's even hard at Jetline, and I'm like the biggest advocate. But I struggle to get my people to completely adopt it into their lifestyle. And that's what it is. It's a lifestyle. You have to want to do it. You have to see something and say, "Oh my gosh, that's funny. I've got to tweet that," because it could be your next biggest customer that sees that tweet. My perfect example was, right at the end of my tenure at Pro Towels, I had got a kind of a lead that there was a customer in Nashville that was cranking through rally towels, and they weren't rally towel business it comes from the big percentage of it comes from a small few, and so I was told by other supplier friends who had somewhat of a relationship, you'll never get in. They're impossible to get in. And, like me being a normal salesperson, didn't have all the time in the world, and basically tweeted them and said, "Hey, I'm in Nashville. I want to stop by." Well, whoever was monitoring their Twitter platform replied, "Stop by." So I stopped by. Well, the owner answered the door. He goes, "Who are you?" And I said, "I'm Dana at Pro Towels." He goes, why are you here? We don't take appointments. I said, "Well, I tweeted you and someone told me to stop by." He goes, "What?" I go, "I tweeted you and someone told me to stop by." He's like, "Are you kidding me?" So he's kind of a loud guy, more kind of New Yorky. He turns around yelling and screaming foul language. Who the hell told me to stop by? And I think to much of Brian Porter's credit and Keith Lawson, who now manage the account, they are one of ProTal's largest customers. And it started from a tweet. So I will kind of, I know my time's getting slow, or coming to an end, and I want to leave this quote with you. If we talked about time and inbound and managing and stay disciplined and, only stay in your go to social media when you have a reason from your inbox, this quote really summed it up. And that which we persist in doing becomes easier, not that the task itself became easier, but our ability to perform it became easier and improved. So I'm not any better at social media than you. I've just got more efficient at the task. And so now my dominoes are falling faster than yours. So as you get in there and do what I do, you will become just as prolific as I am and have just the same success. Evolution of the business card. This is what you guys should all strive for. Those were my business card, and it's probably going to change again next year. This is what it should look like. When you're ultimately super successful in social and the world of electronic marketing and the internet, this is what your business card should look like. Your clientele should be able to Google your name and have the utmost confidence, trust, and learn all kinds of things about you and give you all kinds of reasons of why they do business with you. So the day that you feel 100% confident that you could go to market with that business card, you would make me proud, because I can. That's it.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Dana. That was tremendous. Really had a lot of great information. I took away a lot of great points from it. And one of them came early, is to have fun. You obviously have fun with it. One of the lines I use in my presentations is, if you don't like social media, you're going to suck at social media. But there's a lot there to love. I had one of my coaching clients who professed not to like social media. I said, well, are you using anything? And she said, well, I like Pinterest. It's kind of like scrapbooking, and I really enjoy it. I asked her who her target audience was, and she told me of a couple of customers. I said, look at their Pinterest pages. She did, and she created a Pinterest page using their colors, their trends, the type of textures that they use in their product, and was able to get an appointment through Pinterest. I'm no expert at Pinterest, but I was amazed at what that happened. I love your comment about know, like, and trust. It's true, people do business with people that they know, like, and trust. It's not an absolute, but what is an absolute is they do not do business with people that they don't like, that they don't know, and that they don't trust. And
that is absolutely true.
all of that really leads to Seth Godin's new definition of marketing, which is turning strangers into friends, friends into customers, and customers into fans. And I think you've been a great example of how you've been able to do it. But it does require a commitment, and it's something that's fun to do. Once again, I'd like to.
The only thing that Seth Godin's got on me is a ghostwriter.
So I'd like to thank everybody once again for attending today's webinar. Next month, it's yours truly. I'll be doing it November 19. We've moved up a week because of Thanksgiving, and I'll be speaking on how to use how to sell promotional products as an advertising medium. It's based on the 5-part series that I wrote for PPB magazine last year, and was a Best of Expo presentation, and that series of articles actually won an international award. So hope you'll tune in on November 15th for our next Wild Wednesday webinar. Another big thanks out to Apothecary Products, who makes this all possible. Also would like to remind people that on January 19 through 23, the Tom Show will be rolling through Indianapolis, Cincinnati, Columbus, Cleveland, and Detroit. And then following up the next week, moving into St. Louis and Kansas City. So the Tom Show is on a roll. Watch for announcements around that and some other really exciting things that MIPA has coming out in 2015. We'll be announcing around 1st of December. So once again, thank you, everyone. This has been recorded and will be rendered and posted later this afternoon on the MIPA Facebook page. And once again, if you want CAS credits, send your PIN number to paul@mipa.org or fill out the survey at the end of the presentation here. So once again, thank you very much. Thank you, Dana. And
thank you.
Hope to meet with all of you next month. Have a good one. Bye-bye.